Welcome back to the Fast Market here on the TD Ameritrade Network. Before we get into a discussion with LikeFolio about Coinbase, some hitting news. Justice Department in 8 states file antitrust suit against Google Alphabet. At this point, stock's down over 1% now as we speak. There's a chart on that, taking a little bit of a dip here. Not totally unknown. There were reports out this morning that another suit was going to be filed by the Department of Justice. 8 states getting thrown in there. This is their 5th Department of Justice inquiry over the past few years here as regulations continue to hit some of these big tech names. So we'll continue to watch that one throughout the session today as it's turned a little bit lower. All right, let's bring in Landon Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio. He's going to break down some data here on Coinbase. Landon, I mentioned this earlier. Coinbase up over 50% so far this year. Basically, you've got the explosion in Bitcoin up to 5-month highs back near 50 or 23,000 at this point. Is this going to be supported by, because I read a note today that, hey, this is just people throwing risk on for no reason. Does your data support this rally that we've seen?
Well, I mean, I think Coinbase goes with the crypto market, right? I mean, the higher those markets, the higher the Coinbase stock is going to be. And you know what? I think I've actually found the secret to calling the tops and bottoms of the Bitcoin market. Back in November of 21, last November, a year and a half ago, a few months ago, at Thanksgiving, I was getting a lot of questions about crypto from family members who didn't know a lot about it. And that was when it was at 65,000 or whatever it was. This last Thanksgiving, nothing. Nobody said a word. So there was the top in 21, and there's the bottom in 22. So just keep your ears and eyes open for when the least investing type person starts asking about something, that's the top. But now I think, we've got a fantastic rally going on, and it's up about 50%. Coinbase is up about 50%. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing really well over the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. So you can see here on the chart, I mean, it was really low. It was down around 16,000. I actually had limit orders sitting at 15. I never saw it on Bitcoin. I was hoping to get it, but I never got it. As this rallies, Coinbase is going to rally. And I think what happened is, you got a situation where in November, FTX just completely collapsed and burned so many people. It brought into question the legitimacy of all of crypto. And not only did people lose money, but they lost faith. And I think that it was actually, obviously it's negative at the time for crypto, but you could make an argument that that was positive for Coinbase because they are the most regulated, sort of the safe haven. Like if you have to keep your coins in one of these, then Coinbase is going to be the one that you're into. And you can see here in purchase intent, it actually started towards the end of October. People started getting renewed interest into opening Coinbase accounts. As that FTX news is happening, they were looking for a place to put their money to put their coins that was safe. And so I think that's probably the biggest impact that we've seen is they're not exactly the last man standing, but they're the ones that are seen as safe. So very good for them. And Coinbase stock, you can see, just completely collapsed over the last few years and has had a really nice run. Right now, they're being pushed along by a lot of trends. Like people are talking more about trading crypto, more investing, talking even about selling it, but just trading it in general, investing into getting into the game, I think is one of the big things that's really pushing this. It's just an overall trend move. I mean, this is not that Coinbase is executing tremendously well. It's that they didn't get washed out, they didn't collapse, and more people are coming into the space. So I think that this is going to play well for them over the long term. And right now, it might seem tough to buy at these levels based on the recent move. You might feel like you're buying high, but if you zoom out on the chart of Bitcoin, I think that you might think these are low prices. If you look back in a few years, this might be a low price for Coinbase.
Landon, you said a couple really important things here, which is number one, Coinbase makes their profits off of transaction fees, right? And right now and they are tied just like an energy company is tied to the price of crude oil and a gold mining is tied to the price of gold futures. They're tied to the price of Bitcoin. They've rallied, Coinbase has rallied because Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have rallied. But you also said another word, safe. people are wondering, are these investments or are cryptocurrencies in general safe to be in? Here's the good news about something like Coinbase. They have, by definition, a pretty healthy balance sheet. They've got, as of the end of September of last year, they've got $5 billion in cash and $3.4 billion in debt. So they're a healthy company that just has to weather this storm. Unless, of course, this storm is a major hurricane that's going to wipe everything out. So what is that your view? Is that LikeFolio's view on this, that they've got the tools to get through it as long as there's something to get through on the other side?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll do the Florida analogy since I'm here, but they've got the house with the hurricane windows and the backup generator and everything. Like, they're the safest one on the block. So as long as the storm doesn't just completely take the house out, they're going to be around and everyone's going to be looking for a place to stay. So I think that Coinbase is they benefited from FTX. In the short term, I think it was very painful for them. But in the long term, I think it just kind of solidifies that they are the safer one. And if you rewind a few years, people were always talking about, well, Coinbase is U.S. and it's more regulated, and I want to be off the grid and all this stuff. And a lot of these people that had that mentality paid a price for being off the grid. And I'm not a huge fan of government regulation, but in this case, Coinbase, it absolutely benefited them. And so when you look at the stock, I mean, they had a high in October of about 78, and just in 2 weeks ago they were 31, and now they're about 54. So this has been a wild ride, but they're tracking, just like you said, they're tracking Bitcoin because they take a percentage off of everything. In the future, I think that the fees that they charge are going to go down on a per dollar basis. It can't continue to be as high as they are. They'll probably get to flat fees over time, but right now it's a percentage basis. So as Bitcoin goes, Coinbase goes, and they have that benefit of being the safe one. So even when we compare to like PayPal or Square, their purchase intent and their sort of earnings score, if you will, is all stronger than both of those. So I think this is the long-term winner in this space. And even though the stock has rallied quite a bit, up 60% or so in the last couple of weeks, I do think that 3 or 4 years from now, 54 could look like a low price.
So you used the term safe. You guys both used it. Let's not use that term when talking about Bitcoin or Coinbase, in my opinion. This is just
mine was in the form of a question. Remember, is it safe? Not it is safe. Hold on a minute. There's a big question mark at the end of mine.
But that's kind of my question. With your data starting to turn higher for Coinbase, but then you also mentioned the other side where fees are going to start coming down because of that percentage that they used. Maybe more competition comes into this space. Is that the concern, and the I guess the roller coaster ride that retail investors are at with Bitcoin? If we see Bitcoin go back below 20 grand, that'll probably wipe out some people that were getting interested in it again as it bumped off of 16,000. Is that the concern for this company? Is that it's such a fickle market within Bitcoin that you're going to see those moves, those wide moves in Coinbase?
Yeah, I think you're going to see some really wide moves. However, I think we're on the lower end of those wide moves, and I think that they get exponential as you get higher. So let me elaborate just a little bit. Like, let's say that Bitcoin's at 22 right now. Let's say it goes down to 18 or 16 or something like that. Yeah, I think you'll see a 20% drop or so in Coinbase, and there might be a little bit less interest. Now, if we go to 50,000 or 100,000 Bitcoin over the next, you pick your time frame, year or two, if that happens, then not only do the fees increase, but the user base increases. Everybody's going to start coming back in again. It's going to be just like 2018 all over again. So I think that it can actually multiply faster on the upside of Bitcoin than it will decrease on the downside. Now, if Bitcoin collapses and it gets down, in single digits as far as thousands go, then yeah, it's going to have a hugely detrimental effect on Coinbase. So if you're thinking about investing in Coinbase, you obviously have to believe in crypto and you have to have a good reason for doing that. But I do think that if your base theory is that Bitcoin is going to stay above 10,000 for the next 2 years, 3 years plus, then I think you're betting on upside being exponential and having a multiplication effect all the way up to whatever the price may be. So that's kind of why I like it here, because I think it is the early leader, and as those fees will increase with Bitcoin, but so will the user base, and their lead will just continue to grow.
It's all based on that user base, the data here. All right, great stuff as always, Landon. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thanks.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio. Kev.